everyone, and welcome back to Talk Wordy, my hub for all of the words that I write, read, and otherwise want to yap about. Today, I am catching you up on some of my recent bookish favorites, all of which are recommendations I hope deeply influence you and therefore change your life. Buckle up and let's get into it. Okay, I will start super niche and I will get broader as we go along in the hopes that I find more people to talk to about my favorite reads that I feel like have minimal exposure and deserve their flowers and deserve more love. Write this down because it's important, okay? Let me first of all educate you on, starting off strong, Meg Smitherman, okay? Lots of novellas, a couple novels, and nobody talks about her. Like, ever. I think 3 people in my life know about her and like actually carry conversations with me about her. I want to talk about 3 of her books, 2 of which are novellas, but they are fabulous. Number 1 is Entity. That is her most recent release, if I am not mistaken. It came out in late June of this year. It is perfect for fans of Rocky Horror, Ex Machina, and creepy tech. It is so hard for me to actually describe this novella in the English language. Like, it's just, there's a specific vibe. I feel like I could describe this book with Pinterest posts, but not actual words. Honestly, go in blind if you want to go on a really wild ride and feel deeply unsettled the whole time, but like kind of, vibe with it a little bit. This is a good one. Again, this is one of her novellas. She's actually one of the first authors that I've seen do pretty commercially well with, not standard length novels. Her other novella, she has a couple others, but the other one I want to touch on is Thrum. There is a mystery subplot. It is a horror romance. Thrum is more unsettling to me than Entity. So if you need like a baseline entrance to what all she writes about, I would say start with Entity and then go into Thrum. Thrum was actually the first book I read by her, and at first I DNF'd because I am a weenie. I am a scaredy cat. But I read the other book that I'm going to talk about in just a second. It's The Frost Queen's Blade. I read that and I was like, wow, her writing style is genuinely captivating. If I can just read Thrum in the daytime, I'll be fine. And so that's what I did. I finally went back and I finished it. And it was just as terrifying as I thought it was going to be, if not a little more. So if you like scary stuff, Thrum, really good. Again, Entity, if you need like an entrance and you need like a shorter length novel, start with Entity. However, if you want to go balls to the wall, dive in with a full length novel, may I present to you The Frost Queen's Blade? Okay. All of these, they are enemies to lovers recommendations I'm getting. They do not hit. They are rivals. They are annoyances to lovers. Okay. This book right here, this sacred text, if you will, absolute enemies, like territorial enemies. The meet cute is him actually trying to kill her. Okay. I have no notes for this book, genuinely. So apparently there is a companion novel, and I'm going to botch the title. I think I know Amulet is in the title. Either way, you can read The Frost Queen's Blade as a standalone. Again, true enemies to lovers. It is perfect for the wintertime or cold weather. Listen, I live in Texas, so I read this book in January, and it was fabulous. I read it during the snowstorm, the one and only snowstorm we got this past year, and it was perfection. 5 stars. The plot did not let up until 99% through. I was reading it on my Kindle, and nothing was resolving, and I had 1% left. The way that I was sweating reading this in bed. This is definitely my favorite of hers. Entity is a very close second. I still need to read some of her other ones, but genuinely I think she's a hybrid author because a couple of her books do have, I guess, traditional or hybrid deals over in the UK and the Commonwealth. But otherwise, I think she's predominantly an indie author, and she's fabulous. I really encourage you to go read her books. Okay, next up, we have Say You'll Be Mine by Naina Kumar. Okay, fans of Never Have I Ever, rise. This is your moment. I promise you. That kind of like humorous Indian culture. This book, I don't even know if Naina's intending to make this book funny, but I genuinely laugh out loud when I read this book. Something about their internal dialogue and like her humor in this book is almost sneaky and subdued. I love it when you can tell that an author is funny without trying to be funny. And at least how I'm interpreting the book and I'm taking it, I think Naina is genuinely a genius. I also think this is her debut. I have not read her other book, which is called Flirting with Disaster. I actually met her because she was moderating for Hannah Bonham Young's People Watching tour when they came to Dallas. Like, this is surface level, but Naina is stunning. Naina is a beautiful human being. And I just loved the way that she carried herself and moderated the event. She just was super eloquent and friendly. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get one of her books. Why not? And I remember like reading her book while waiting in the signing line. And I think I read like 60 something pages. It was so good. I love her writing style. Again, I met her in person. So I got my book signed by Hannah, and then I went to her table, which was like separate. And she's just a doll. She's genuinely like so sweet, so interactive. Yeah, this book is like Indian fake engagement to keep their families and their coworkers at bay. I love everything about it. I can't wait to finish it. I'm in the middle of it right now, but I can already tell you it's going to be one of my favorites of the year. It's very rare that I ever meet an author and I'm like, I don't vibe with you as a person, but I love your books. This was a cool experience because I didn't really know much about her books at all. And then I met her in an author capacity and I was like, oh, you're just lovely. Let me read your book. And then partway through the book, I'm like, oh wow, this book is gas. Okay, next up we have Raiders of the Lost Heart by Joe Segura. Why are y'all sleeping on my girl Joe? For real. Stand up. Like, please, I need to know where my other Joe Segura stands are. I met her at the beginning of this year. I literally outran a snowstorm to see her in person. Technically, I was there to see Allie Hazelwood, but Allie Hazelwood was moderating Joe's event in conjunction with Kayla Olson. They both had books that released, but I had never seen Allie Hazelwood. And I just love going to events where I'm like, I don't know about this author, but I'm going to go anyways. And then they just turn out to be delightful people. But yeah, I met her back in January. Her books, at least the ones that she's released, and this one, was the Kickstarter, Indiana Jones meets rom-coms, so adventure rom-coms and like female archaeologists. And let me tell you, I don't know squat about archaeology at all, but do I love a strong female character bossing, himbos around? Absolutely, yes. Also, Ford Grant, respectively, Ford Grant can get it. He immediately became another blonde man, a fictional blonde man that I simp over. And I'm not even sorry about it. If you are trying to like stand your ground about, nobody simps over blonde men, ew, blonde men are gross, I challenge you to read this book and hold your ground, because you won't. I literally finished this book and I was like, wow, I have no counter arguments against this man. Yeah, amazing book, 5 stars. I need to read Temple of Swoon, which is her second one. So yes, the Indiana Jones movies, but like tweaked into romance puns. So I need to read Temple of Swoon, and then I am ecstatic for the Lust Crusade to come out. That's going to be, I think, the last one. I think it's like interconnected standalones, but also kind of a trilogy set. I'm so excited for the Lust Crusade. The premise is right up my alley. Like, I was hesitant about Raiders of the Lost Heart, and it instantly became an auto rec for me when I talked to other people. So if that's how I felt about a book that I was like, so about on like first glance, the Lust Crusade is going to do insane things to my psyche. Okay, next up, If Not for My Baby. Okay, I know that I've spoken about this book on the pod already, but as I say in nearly every episode, this is my show. I can do whatever the heck I want. Holy moly, I still think about this book weekly. I had to re-binge Unreal Earth by Hosier after I read the book. And then now whenever it comes on shuffle, I get like chills up my entire arm, like both sides. Just, oh my gosh, it takes over me. Also, like every time I see a clip of him in a live performance, it's wild. I don't see Hosier. I just think Halloran, which is funny because it should be the other way around of like, okay, when I'm reading about Halloran in the book, I'm just picturing Hosier. Dead opposite. I'm literally picturing a fictional, like almost glossed over version of Hosier, but it's not Hosier. It's Halloran in my mind. Kate Golden, you are really out here doing the Lord's work. Also, I think I'm due for a reread because there's an audiobook coming out for it. I read it with my eyeballs, and I have a feeling that if I read it with my ears, it's going to change my life. She really just struck gold with this one. I have no notes. This was, like I said in a previous episode, this was a 6-star book. I got 5-star tingles on page 1, not even just chapter 1, page 1. I beg of you to go read this book. And then last but certainly not least, for my like most recent favorites, I obviously have like some all-time favorites, but this is just in, recent months. Elsie Silver, you guys, Chestnut Springs, Rose Hill, Gold Rush Ranch. Elsie Silver has such a talent for getting me hooked on a book that encompasses my least favorite tropes. Genuinely, there are tropes that she writes into books or like makes the main plot arc of the story. And I tell myself every time it comes out, I'm like, I'm not going to read that. I'm not going to read that. That makes me uncomfortable. That's gross. Why are people attracted to this? Why did she feel the need to write a 400-page book about this trope? And then I, of course, am like, I can't turn my back on her. I can't do it. I'm going to at least try. And if I don't succeed, if I can't get through, chapter 5 and I give up, I'll just return the physical copy. Actually, no, I won't, because I have her entire set of like all her books. But, the thoughts there. You guys, this new one, Wildcard, oh my gosh. Listen, if you don't like a surprise pregnancy trope, understandable, okay? That's what I thought about going into Reckless, and Reckless became my favorite book of all of her books because she just found a way to like put a slight twist on it to where you can justify it. The same thing happened in Wildcard, and I did not see that coming, because how can you find an exception for the trope of her dating her ex's dad? Okay, I was like, there is no way. I think I kind of read it out of spite in the beginning. I was like, there's no way. There's no way she can do this. You can't keep getting away with this. And then she did. She presented the logistics, and I fell into her trap. I'm a defender. What can I say? I've seen worse age gaps, truthfully. I mean, I haven't lived it myself, but like in the fictional world, I've seen worse age gaps. I've seen darker, I've seen worse age gaps, and I've seen a lot worse scenarios than the one that they were in. That doesn't mean that while I was listening to the audiobook, I wasn't panic sweating for some of these characters, which reminds me, her audiobooks are absolutely elite. I have every single physical copy of her books. Have any of them been read physically? No. They have all been audiobooks. Every single one of them has been an audiobook read. And you know what? It's for the better. Something about this woman's audiobooks have drugs in them. I remember I was in a massive reading slump, okay? And I had discovered audiobooks, but they just weren't hitting. And my friend had recommended me her books on countless occasions. And I was just like, I'm not a cowboy romance kind of girl. It's not my thing. And she goes, listen, I get it. Try the audiobook. Don't read it with your eyes. Try the audiobook, because if you're going to read something that's like not your typical content, you don't know like the dynamics of what's going on, it's harder for you to picture it. Let someone narrate it to you, and tell me how you feel. Just try the first book. And of course, the first book I read was flawless. And I remember I started the audiobook on a Monday and I was doing remote work and I was listening to the book. I finished that book in like maybe 36 hours, like a day and a half. And I was like, oh my gosh, 5 stars. And my friend, she looked at me and was like, that was 5 stars? And I was like, yeah. She goes, that's not even the best one. Not by a long shot. That's actually probably one of the ones lower in the series. And I was like, oh, so she cooks here. She cooked. These narrators, every single one of her narrators and every single book that she has written has absolutely cooked. I have no other way to say it, you guys. Listen to the audiobooks because my friend was right. Flawless was like in the grand scheme of the Chestnut Springs and, just Elsie Silver universe, the Elsieverse, I guess you could call it. It was like mid-tier. And I gave that 5 stars. I don't think I've ever rated an Elsie Silver book lower than 4 stars. So, take that how you will. Let's talk about her upcoming release because she's going to start a new series over in Emerald Lake. Let's talk about Fever Dream. She just released the cover. And honestly, I feel like Elsie's marketing team is so on their game because every time she starts doing like a certain cover for her interconnected standalones, other authors start to copy her. The biggest example I have of this is when Wild Love released, and it was that kind of like pink scrapbooky look. And I was like, what is going on here? And then I think the author I've seen like rebrand her stuff for this and make it look scrapbooky like that is Liz Tomforday, I think is how you pronounce her name. The Windy City series, they're all getting rebranded like that. And then I've even seen like Anna Huang, her books are starting to take on that look with like the letters. I don't remember what some of the books are called, but I can like clearly see it in my brain. So just bear with me. But anyways, now that Fever Dream got a cover reveal, I'm really curious to see if any other authors copy that style. It's a little similar to the scrapbook style, but we'll see. Can we talk about these characters? She hinted at characters, and then once the cover got revealed, we got to see like which characters are going to lead this off. And as somebody who just finished Wildcard, knowing that Emmett Bush is going to be the male main character, I am so sad. I will be taking off a day from work to just absolutely gorge on this book. And then, hello, Julia Silva, the love of my fictional life, Theo Silva from Reckless, his little sister. And it's a reality TV romance. Hello? I'm shaking. It's going to be so, so good. Elsie Silver is back in her Western bag. All I have to say, save a horse. I'm so ready. It's going to be me driving to work, listening to the audiobook with a cowgirl hat on. If you somehow have not read an Elsie Silver book, do yourself the biggest favor and read Chestnut Springs. Listen, I can't give a lot of, high praise to Gold Rush Ranch because even though I have the physical books, I have not read them. They are very Western. Like if I thought Chestnut Springs was Western, no, Gold Rush Ranch is definitely more Western. And I think I need to work my way up to it. But Chestnut Springs is a great starting point. The books are so bingeable. They all have audiobooks. Go read them, please. Because if you do the Rose Hill series, you're going to miss the Easter eggs. And it's so fun when you see crossovers or like mentions. But also, if you don't read Chestnut Springs, you miss out on the magic that is Harvey Eaton. If you know, you know. Those are all of my recent favorites as of late. I'm going to finish this episode off on a word of advice. So, word of advice, you guys, if you can get the audiobook for anything, listen to it. I know some narrators don't jive, but man, it's such an immersive experience that you can take with you more places than one. I feel like for me, I can't read a physical book. Obviously, when I'm driving, I can't read a physical book. But also like if I'm in a car. I can't read text on a page anymore. My stomach is not made of iron anymore. I'm getting older. My body's changing and it just doesn't like that kind of motion. On a plane, great, but like if I'm on a plane, I'm going to take my Kindle. So it's a little tricky with some formats, but like if you need to tune out the world, or if you've got a long work commute, or you got a road trip, turn on that audiobook and all your worries wash away. Genuinely, I have made solo drives that have been anywhere from like 5 to 6 hours by myself, and they feel like 2.5 when you've got your audiobook on. Also, I feel like I can digest things faster when I'm listening versus when I'm physically, or I guess visually, taking it in. And so I read books faster. Now, I'm probably going to get clobbered for saying this, but my typical audiobook speed is anywhere between 1.7 and 2.3. 1.7 is usually if I'm on like a really like long highway and I'm driving really fast, because I can't hear 2.0 through 2.3 speed when I'm on the highway. The road noise is just too loud, or like the rumbling of my car and the AC. Now, if I'm on like just regular city roads, I can get up to like 2.3, which I've been told is positively insane by friends of mine. But I don't know. What do you guys think? If you're audiobook listeners, what speed do you usually have your audiobooks on? Now, I do have a friend that when she is cleaning the house, she reads, or I guess listens, at like 3-point speed. There is only one time that I've ever read a book at 3 times speed. And that was, why is the title failing me? It's the last Crescent City book, House of Flame and Shadow. That was the last book and the only book I've ever read on 3 times speed, because that book was a brick. And I had found the last copy of it in like the Orlando airport, and we had a plane ride and it was dark, and I didn't want to get spoiled on TikTok because I know that the fandoms I'm a part of can be toxic like that. So I had the book in front of me and I had it on 3 times speed, and I was like, Lord, I really hope I can digest all of this. But I did. I finished the book in like 3 days, and yeah. I am an audiobook ride or die. Audiobooks till the day I die, because the way the narrators pace the dialogue and the tension, and the way you can slow down or speed up certain passages, it's so good. I have no words. It's just the best experience. Girlhood! Okay, you guys, that's all I've got. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any recent book favorites of yours that you want to recommend me, let me know. Tell me in my comments. My DMs are always open. I'm always in the mood for new reads, new recs. Most of the books that become my favorites actually are recommended to me by other people. Let me know what I should be reading next, especially since we're getting into like actual fall and even Christmas. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I will see you guys in the next one.